in beautiful southern Indiana, bringing you our analysis of the post position draw that was just hours ago for the Preakness Stakes. So we're going to just run through these real quick here and just give you our thoughts of some of the post positions, and maybe some pace predictions of what we think the pace could look like going into the 148th Preakness Stakes. So really, there's 8 horses. Unfortunately, a lot of the horses have already dropped out or are deciding to skip the Preakness, in the likes of Disarm, Instant Coffee, Confidence Game, with a little bit of soreness coming out of the Kentucky Derby. Two Fills, Angel of Empire also deciding to skip this as well. Um, so, kind of what usually happens with the Preakness, we just get a lot of horses wanting to take the time off. Um, and look elsewhere and really don't like the big turnaround. So again, with 8 post positions, there's really not a bad position. Nobody really got the worst of the draw or anything like that. The inside and outside horses in National Treasure and First Mission, I feel like what their running styles are going to be is what they prefer. So nothing is out of the ordinary or going to put anybody in trouble. So looking at the inside, we have National Treasure. This is the Bob Baffert trained horse with John Velasquez, getting odds of 4-1. I believe fair odds had this horse roughly at 8-1, 10-1. Um, so interesting to see this horse as the third betting option in here. Probably where it should be. However, I just didn't expect it to be 4-1, closer to the second option. However, Baffert has stated that he is coming for the Preakness and he's coming to win. So obviously, one to watch out for would be National Treasure. I believe he posted a pretty good workout before he shipped in to Pimlico at Santa Anita. Um, I believe he went 5 furlongs and 40. No, five. I think it was 4 furlongs and like 48. So again, one that we're going to keep a close eye on, and kind of do a little bit more studying. I know he really hasn't done much in any of his other outings, so this one's a big question mark. But he does get back to the Baffert barn as Tim Yakteen did have him. So interesting enough to see what this runner is going to be. Probably one that could be hustled out early. I feel like there's really not much pace in here, so maybe National Treasure wants to get out to the lead. Johnny Velasquez usually does a really good job at that. And then, of course, are we going to see the famous Baffert rebreaks that we've all have been well known to see, of horses just rebreaking in the stretch and getting to the wire? Number 2, Chase the Chaos. Really not don't know a whole lot about this horse coming from Pimlico. Sheldon Russell is the jockey, going to be the biggest shot on the board. This horse, fair odds had it at 133, so obviously it's not going to be that just because of a small field. But 50 to 1 is another just stretch price. Again, this will be a tough task for this horse in here, just coming into the likes of these other runners. And as we all know, number 3, Mage. We know this horse's running style is from off the pace. The big question is, will he get that pace to run into like he got in the Derby when Confidence Game um, went out to the early lead with Reincarnate? Here again, Javier Castellano gets the mount 8-5 on the morning line. I thought this was interesting, to say the least, for the odds in here. I expected 3-1, 2-1, as the favorite should be, but 8-5 is interesting, to say the least. Again, just because of some of these other runners have dropped out. Mage is the only runner from the Kentucky Derby that has stayed in this field for good reasons, going for that Triple Crown feat. Um, but again, I think Mage will need the pace to run into. And I think he will get it just to his outside in Coffee with Chris. Coffee with Chris comes out of the same race as Perform in that Federico Tessio Stakes at Laurel. This horse is 20-1, so a big price here, and a horse that I think will go out to the lead. It's just the big question mark of who's going to press Coffee with Chris for that pace. Will it be National Treasure? Will it be Chase the Chaos? I don't, or could it be First Mission? I don't see it being some of the other horses. Red Route 1, Perform, and Blazing Sevens all want to come from the back. So I think Coffee with Chris, with maybe National Treasure and First Mission, could be the horses that we see get out to that early lead, and want to dictate that early pace to give us a fast pace scenario. If that's the case, it sets up beautifully. Mage, Perform, Blazing Sevens, as those are type of horses that are going to make their runs late. Red Route 1, another horse. In here, this is Steve Asmussen's only runner now with disarm um, being pulled out. Currently 10-1, so a pretty good price on Red Route 1 coming off of the Derby Trail, not really collecting enough points. And there gets Joel Rosario aboard for that late kick type jockey who likes to come from the back. Um, I think again, if the pace is good and true, and he gets a hot start, Red Route 1 should have the pace he needs to run into. And Joel Rosario is one of the best at coming from the back in those types of pace scenarios or pace meltdowns, where Red Route 1 could be that type of horse that's going to run up at the end to try to get first or second in here. Number 6, Perform. Feargal Lynch. Shug McGahee is the trainer on this one and has said this horse is training the way he wants it to. The horse looks great coming out of that Federico Tessio Stakes at Laurel Park. He is doing all the things that Shug is asking him to do. At 15-1, this is kind of a good price horse that we have been watching really closely. If you go back and watch the video in our last post of how he was able to win that Federico Tessio from way off the pace, ran into the back of horses like 2 or 3 times, comes up, bounces off the rail, pulls out, just zigzags through traffic. But that was with Irad Ortiz aboard here. He gets Virgo Lynch. So kind of a big question mark on the jockey if it's going to be that same well-ridden style. But another horse that's going to need a fast pace to run into, and again, he did it with Coffee with Chris, setting those quick fractions in the Federico. So Perform should have that same pace scenario. It's just, is it going to be slower? Is it going to be faster? Who is going to get up to press Coffee with Chris? Blazing Sevens, another one. I don't think this horse is going to be a far back closer. I think Irad's going to sit pretty close in that mid pack. I know there's 8 horses. He's going to sit just off the lead. I feel like in that fourth or fifth position in here. I just think the horse has a pretty good work under him. Has shipped to Pimlico pretty early. Should get another work or two in before race day, and looks to be in good form. You know, they made the choice to skip the Kentucky Derby. Probably would have been one that was on the lead, maybe set up the pace in here. I just watched some of his other races, and I just don't know if Blazing Sevens wants to go to the lead. Um, I feel like Irad could go if the horse gets out of the gate and then sets that early fractions. But I feel like the horse is going to be better set up just sitting right off mid pack, right off the pace to make that, um, I guess, that big sweeping move that Irad is well known for out of the final turn, and then kind of hurting his horse to the front leader to kind of challenge it for the lead. And on the outside, we have First Mission. Of course, you guys have watched our videos. You know we're high up on this horse. We have a future bet on him. I believe it's like he was 10-1 is what we locked in as odds. So we are of course high on First Mission for a win wager. 5-2. That's pretty good money right now. For him as the second, maybe even third betting option coming in come post time with the Bob Baffert trained horse. First Mission is another one I see could possibly go to the lead with a good gate break in Luis Saez, who's really good at gate riding or getting out of the gate. Should get out of the gate early and get over to the rail as much as he can to try to save some ground. And then could be one that's looking to press the pace in here with Coffee with Chris or National Treasure or Blazing Sevens, and then kind of just sitting comfortably right off of it and kind of making that same move that he made in the Lexington. Again, Luis Saez is probably one of the best gate riders getting the horses out of the gate. So it's interesting to see if he goes. Will he go straight to the lead? Will he sit just off and let Coffee with Chris get the lead and then dictate that pace and just kind of be a presser? Um, Interesting enough, I think pace right now Could be Coffee with Chris, um, getting to the lead, looking at possibly first mission being the presser, and then you have the whole slew of horses that are going to be running late, closing mid pack in Mage, Red Route One, Perform, and then possibly even Blazing Sevens. The big question is, what is National Treasure and Johnny Velasquez going to do? Obviously, Bob Baffert going to throw a big wrench into this mix and have one that typically sits close to the bleed, as most of his horses do. It's just, are we going to see those big Bob Baffert rebreaks, or is this horse not up to the standards of what Bob Baffert thinks he is? Just because of how he came out of Santa Anita Derby, he's been beaten by Forte in the um, Breeders' Futurity or the Breeders' Juvenile, and now here he is coming into the Preakness off a pretty good layoff, and what Bob Baffert thinks is a pretty good chance to win. I think Mage is still the horse to beat. Mage looks great coming in, looks great on the track still. Is in great condition. Nothing as far as looking defeated or worn out from his big Kentucky Derby performance. So he's up against it definitely, but I believe this horse is primed and ready to go. And again, first mission kind of being our other pick in here for now, as we got a early futures bet on him, and we're hoping for that good gate break by Luis Saez to get him out early, and to just set this up where a big Mage first mission exacta looks pretty good right now, and we're just trying to find that third horse with a price that we can roll in underneath. So we thank you for watching. Um, Again, we will be posting our betting guides or best betting tips for the Preakness a little bit closer to Saturday. We will also be doing the Friday card for Preakness, so make sure to hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and continue showing us support.